Good evening, everyone. Would you join us in a salute to the flag? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Very cool. Pursuant to Section 5, Chapter 231, Public Laws 1975, this is to state for the record that adequate notice of this meeting has been provided to the public by posting and maintaining the annual notice of regular meetings on the bulletin board of the municipal building, by mailing the annual notice of regular meetings for 2016 to the News Record and Star Ledger in December 2015, and by filing said notice in the office of the Township Clerk.
Ms. Adams? Here. Mr. Brownlee?
Here.
Mrs. Larrier? Here. Mr. Limbrick?
Here. Good night, CC.
Mayor DeLuca?
Here.
Whereas Chapter 231, Public Laws of 1975, commonly known as the Open Public Meetings Act, requires all meetings of public bodies be open to the public, and whereas Section 7 provides that the governing body has the discretion to permit, prohibit, or regulate the active participation of the public at any meeting, whereas the desire of this governing body to comply with the provisions of this act, same time to conduct its business in an orderly and expeditious manner, now therefore be resolved by the Township Committee, Township Maplewood, does hereby prohibit, except as set forth in the formal agenda, active participation in the deliberations of the governing body by the public, except as otherwise prescribed by law, does limit the public to the observations of the actions and discussions of the governing body at all of its regular and special meetings.
So moved.
Second. Ms. Adams? Yes. Mr. Brownlee?
Yes.
Mrs. Larrier? Yes. Mr. Limbrick?
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca?
Yes. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the May 3rd meeting of the Township Committee. Before we get started, I would just like to recognize the passing of June Cater. She just passed away 6 weeks before she would have turned 90, and it's a really fascinating story. The bottom line is that she's the person who donated the 1978 Arts building to us. That was her studio, and if you read the obit here, she actually took up sculpting at the age of 60 and opened up her studio. And her specialty was doing heads. She did these heads, and if you rode down Springfield Avenue past this building, when she had it as a gallery, it had all these sculpted heads in the window. And they're still there, but we have many other shows. But in any event, she donated the building. I remember I was the mayor at that time, and we had a ceremony here, and we thanked her, and we want to recognize her passing and thank her and her family. Again, she actually asked that donations in her memory be made to the 1978 Arts Center. So we thank her and her family, and if we could just take a moment of silence to remember June Cater. Thank you. Okay, we have a missing agenda. We have a proclamation. I'm going to ask Mrs. Larrier to do the EMS proclamation. And we have some guests that are going to come on up.
All right, well, thank you so much for coming. Whereas Emergency medical services is a vital public service, and whereas the members of emergency medical services teams are ready to provide life-saving care to those in need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and whereas access to quality emergency care dramatically improves the survival and recovery rate of those who experience sudden illness or injury, and whereas the emergency medical services system consists of first responders, emergency medical technicians, paramedics, firefighters, educators, administrators, emergency nurses, emergency physicians, and others. And whereas the members of emergency medical services teams, whether career or volunteer, engage in thousands of hours of specialized training and continuing education to enhance their life-saving skills. And whereas it is appropriate to recognize the value and the accomplishments of emergency medical services providers by designating Emergency Medical Services Week now, therefore, I, Victor DeLuca, well, not me, but Mayor Victor DeLuca, on behalf of the Maplewood Township Committee, in recognition of this event, do hereby proclaim the week of May 15th through 21, 2016 as Emergency Medical Services Week. And I would also just like to also recognize our own Liz Fritzen, clerk of Maplewood, who is a long-standing volunteer EMT for Springfield.
Yes.
And yeah, you don't want to, if you want to get sick, have her around. So thank you very much, and thank you all for your service.
Would anyone like to say anything?
Thank you.
Okay,
We appreciate it.
thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, they should get the resolution, yeah. We should also recognize that Mrs. Larrier is a emergency medical technician, correct? And former president of the Maplewood First Aid Squad, so we thank you. We have another proclamation on Building Safety Month. Mr. Lembrecht is going to read that, or parts of it,
Yes.
hopefully.
Whereas the New Jersey Building Officials Association's continuing efforts to address the critical issues of safety, energy efficiency, water conservation, and resilience in the built environment that affect our citizens both in everyday life and in times of natural disaster give us confidence that our structures are safe and sound, and whereas our confidence is achieved through the devotion of vigilant guardians, building safety and fire prevention officials, architects, engineers, builders, tradespeople, laborers, and others in the construction industry who work year-round to ensure the safe constructions of buildings. And whereas each year in observation of Building Safety Month, Americans are asked to consider projects to improve building safety and sustainability at home and in the community, and to acknowledge the essential service provided to all of us by local and state building departments, fire prevention bureaus, and federal agencies in protecting lives and property. Now, therefore, on behalf of Mayor Victor DeLuca, Mayor of the Township of Maplewood, we do hereby proclaim the month of May 2016 as Building Safety Month. Accordingly, we encourage all of our citizens to join with their community in participating in Building Safety Month activities.
Thank you. Hey, just for the rest of the meeting, we're going to go into our public comment period. If you'd like to address us, we ask you to come up. Just in 1 minute, though. Sorry. Then we're going to go into our monthly Board of Health meeting. We have 2 resolutions tonight dealing with budgets, one for the budget of the Maplewood Village Alliance and the other for the budget of the Springfield Avenue Partnership. We'll move into ordinances. We have 2 ordinances on final. One is to deal with the transfer of property, and the second is to authorize a bond for the reassessment that's going to take place. We then have a resolution that actually authorizes the issuance of those notes so that we could raise the money to pay for that. We're going to be introducing a new ordinance on outdoor cafes. We have an ordinance on temporary sports equipment, which we're going to have a discussion about because there's an error, which we'll get to when we get there. After that, we have 4 discussion items. The first is a service agreement between the Township and the 4th of July Committee. Second is open space trust fund money for the dealing with the ash tree. Third is a discussion to prohibit leaf blowers from June to August. And fourth is the sale of the tobacco product ordinance that we've been talking about. We're going to have one more discussion before introducing it. We have a couple of resolutions actually approving the budgets of the 2 special improvement districts. We'll be appointing a probationary police officer, approving bills and claims, rejecting bids for the waiting pool, refurbishing, approving minutes. We'll have administrative reports and then reports from elected officials. So with that, we will open. Mr. McGehee, if you'd like to come up.
Thank you, Mayor Dooley. Greg McGehee, 8 Carlton Court. I want to publicly applaud the Township Committee for consideration of the ordinance for raising the age of selling cigarettes, e-cigarettes, and any other tobacco-related merchandise from 19 to 21. According to the Institute of Medicine, 90% of smokers started using tobacco before they turned 21. And according to the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention, cigarette smoking causes roughly 1 out of every 5 deaths in the United States per year. The use of electronic devices, e-cigarettes, among middle school and high school students has tripled from 2013 to 2014, rising from approximately 120,000 to 450,000 in middle school students, and from 660,000 to 2 million in high school students. Several studies have stated that e-cigarettes are the gateway to cigarettes. As a father of a 5th grader heading to Maplewood Middle, I find this to be very concerning. According to the Institute of Medicine, raising the minimum age will significantly reduce smoking rates, resulting in fewer premature deaths, deaths from lung cancer, and 4.2 million fewer years of life lost for persons born between the age of 2000 and 2019. Public health is indeed a concern, and the importance of less people beginning to smoke and potentially less people having smoke-related deaths is admirable and good work, and I applaud the Township.
Thank you. Anyone else want to address the Township Committee?
Hello, my name is Carrie Gordon. I live at 34 Girard Place. I spoke at a township board meeting about the many reasons to ban leaf blowers and cosmetic pesticides. Number 1 is for public health. I want to thank you for considering a pilot program to ban leaf blowers from June 1st through August 31st. Landscaping companies may oppose this because you are interrupting their business as usual. They will tell you it will cut into their profits. They will tell you that they are only doing it because their clients want results, a carpet of perfectly shorn green grass, and they won't be able to deliver those results because of these bans. I wanted to remind you of another time that Maplewood was in the forefront of legislating for environmental health. Maplewood, New Jersey was the first municipality in the United States to pass laws regarding the sanding of lead-based paint on homes. When every other painter left town, Rutgers Painting remained and worked with town health officials to develop the lead-safe sanding and renovation practices that evolved into the standard used nationwide. There will be landscaping companies that fight this ban, but like Rutgers Painting, landscapers that follow these parameters and work with the town will build a stronger business model and will safeguard the health of their employees. There are ways to have a green lawn that is safe and healthy for our children to play on. Grass can be kept at a longer length to prevent weeds from spreading. Encourage clover, oversee with drought-tolerant grass mixes, and instead of blowing or bagging, keeping mulch, grass, and leaves because they provide nutrients. I encourage Maplewood residents to join the Re-Yard program developed by Maplewood, South Orange, and Millburn Green teams to support sustainable lawn care. When you complete the online checklist, you will receive a lawn sign that will hopefully encourage your neighbors to learn about ways to improve the habitat that is their yard and the ecosystem of our community. And again, it's REYARD.org. The Maplewood Green Team is also very interested in working with landscaping companies to help them develop the best environmental practices. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Good evening. My name is Amy O'Mara. I live at 17 Salter Place. I've also spoken previously to the Township Committee about my concerns about leaf blowers and the serious dangers they pose to public health. especially the health of our children and local ecosystems. And I also want to thank you for considering this pilot project, which I am in great support of. Tonight, I'm actually here on behalf of another resident who wanted to be here very badly, but could not, and she sent me a statement to read on her behalf for the record. This statement is from Emily Fromm of 56 Bowdoin Street. She states, "First, let me say thank you for taking the time to consider this issue. For the 5 years I've lived in Maplewood, I assumed there was no recourse and have quite literally been considering moving as a result. Like many people, we moved to Maplewood from New York City to get some fresh air and quiet, to live somewhere that our kids could enjoy playing outside and where we could take pleasant walks around our neighborhood. Unfortunately, we quickly found out that the leaf blowers that plague this town take all of those things away. A single gas-powered leaf blower operating within a 1-block radius is enough to destroy peace and quiet. When it's used within a few houses of ours, it drives us indoors and forces us to close our windows. When it's used adjacent to our lot, the air we breathe is filled with dust and gas fumes. That's the effect of a single gas-powered leaf blower, most often used by a homeowner for an hour or two in his own yard. However, on what I call hell days, it's not a single machine and it's not an hour or two, it's at least half a dozen running at once for 5 or 6 hours because a landscaping firm is doing our part of town. There will be 2 to 4 leaf blowers in a single yard and 3 or 4 yards being serviced at once, all within a few houses of mine. On these days, my ability to work is compromised because I can't talk on the phone. On these days, I watch in the video baby monitor as my infant wakes up crying because closed windows and white noise machines can't drown out the jet engine level din. These machines are so loud that their operators wear industrial earphones to protect their hearing. What impact will they have on the developing hearing of my children who are 6, 3, and 6 months old? I understand that landscapers use leaf blowers so they could service as many yards as possible in as short a time as possible, but they're simply not used efficiently or in any way that minimizes noise pollution. I've seen 3 men at once blowing the same few leaves down a driveway for 10 minutes. I've seen men blowing around leaves and grass clippings in the street, not even in yards, and I've seen leaf blowers left on, lying on the ground. I've walked past yards pushing my newborn baby in a stroller and not had the 3 or 4 men standing around with their leaf blowers turn them off for 30 seconds to let us pass. If it were up to me, and again, speaking on behalf of Emily, these machines would be banned outright and landscapers would use good old-fashioned rakes or even electric leaf blowers, which are quieter. But in lieu of that, if they can be prohibited during summer months and current decibel laws enforced, that would at least be a start. Let's work together to bring back the peace and quiet that brought us all to Maplewood in the first place. Thank you. And thank you for allowing me to read on her behalf.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Sheila Baker Gujral from 38 Kendall. I'm with the Maplewood Green Team and the Environmental Advisory Committee. First of all, I'd like to thank the Township Committee for looking into this issue of leaf blowers in our community and for opening up the dialogue with our residents. I would also like to refer to comments that I and other Green Team members made back on April 5th regarding this issue. There are 3 reasons why we should examine the use of leaf blowers in our community. The first, and an often cited complaint, is the untenable noise pollution from many leaf blowers running at once. I have watched teams of 4 and 5 leaf blowers swirling up huge clouds on a single small Maplewood-sized lawn. With a large number of people working out of their homes, this is a major distraction in their work life and a major detractor from the quiet suburban quality of life which so many of our residents have moved here to enjoy. Second, the carbon and other outputs from the gas engines and leaf blowers can be toxic, contribute to greenhouse gases, and worsen our local air quality. In my research, I learned that one of the big problems with leaf blowers is that they are using a 2-stroke engine and not a 4-stroke engine. As I found in Discover magazine, where they were referring to automobiles, but it was basically the 2-stroke engine versus 4-stroke engine discussion. Unlike the developed nations' larger but much more efficient automobiles, which use 4-stroke engines, 2-stroke vehicles spew great volumes of dangerous hydrocarbons, carbon monoxide, and smoke. A single 2-stroke engine produces pollution equivalent to that of 30 to 50 4-stroke automobiles. And third and finally, there are various health issues raised by the many particulates lifted into the air and into our lungs. Pesticides, chemicals, lead, mold, fungi, fecal matter, and more. Things that can exacerbate asthma, allergies, or worse. About 5 pounds of particulate matter per leaf blower per hour are swept into the air and take hours to settle. In conclusion, I again thank the Township Committee for looking into this matter and look forward to helping to find a workable solution for our community.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Tracy Woods. I lived at 253 Burnett Avenue, and I am a longtime member of the Maplewood Green Team. And I want to thank you guys for bringing this issue up for discussion. And I wanted to let you know that I've been on the Green Team for almost 7 years, and it's the number one thing that the public communicates that we get talked to about is people want something done about the leaf blowers. Time and time again, whenever people come up and say, can't the Green Team do something about the leaf blowers, it's something that's very much in the minds of the residents, and I just wanted to point that out too.
Hi, I'm Jane Conrad, 35 Roosevelt Road, and I just want to add my voice to those who are congratulating you for again taking up the leaf blower issue. I'm a veteran of a previous struggle on this issue about 12, 13 years ago. I was part of a group called Calm Citizens Against Loud Machines that was instrumental in getting the current ordinance passed. And I think, you know, as then, it is an important issue for this and other communities, both in terms of being a health issue and also a quality of life issue. In reviewing my notes from that struggle years ago, I found again a diagram I had drawn showing the impact, the sound impact on 30 lots of one of the large push leaf blowers, in which it shows that in at least 30 lots nearest to where the blower is operating, noise levels are such that ear protection would be required according to the standards set by the National Institute of Occupational Safety and Health. And this is just one blower. You know, there are only more of them than there were then. And what does it do to the ability of the people in those 30 yards to enjoy their properties and to be out among their neighbors? And, you know, for children, who are the reason that many people move to our communities, for them to be able to be out and enjoying the outdoors. I think that any restrictions that you take on the use of leaf blowers will only increase the attractiveness of this community, both to its residents and to potential residents. And I think that at this point, a ban of some sort is a good idea, in that the ordinance that we have, although, you know, well-intentioned, it was just, I think, very difficult to enforce. You know, I worked with Mr. Rowe a lot in trying to report and advertise to landscapers and so on, to remind them I have a stack of the ordinances that I keep at my house and hand out every season, you know. And I have to say, there's been, you know, I went to court one time, you know, with one of the landscaper companies who was fined and so on. But I just think that it would be far simpler to have, you know, an even playing field, you know, so that anyone operating in Maplewood for this period of time, when, especially in the summer, they're really not needed, if they ever are needed. And an additional, you know, good effect of this would be one of the harmful effects of, as one of the people who just spoke was saying, summertime, if you had a summertime ban to start with, that would at least cut down on the ozone pollution, which is one of the main air quality issues in Essex County, because ozone is formed in the presence of sunlight with the products of exhaust emissions. So that would be an immediate benefit for doing that. But I hope it's just, I think if you did have a ban, then people would see how nice it is to not have that constant noise. And I think also landscapers would perhaps discover that there are other ways to achieve the same results that they're looking for. And my general hope is that this ban could be expanded to both the fall and the spring, because that is when you have the greatest number of allergens in the air, and that is when you have children walking to school through these clouds of dust and noise that really, I think, lower the civility of the community that we live in. So congratulate you on moving toward this first step, and look forward to more discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else want to address the Township Committee on anything?
Hi, Victor Gallo at 121 Maplewood Avenue. I'm not going to repeat what everyone else said in support of the efforts of the town to address the leaf blower noise issue. The only thing I would encourage the Township Committee to do is to provide sufficient resources for enforcement of any ordinance that is ultimately enacted. There is a 65 decibel ordinance on the books right now. The reason we're here is because that ordinance hasn't been adequately enforced. We just need to make sure that good intentions don't get lost in a lack of enforcement. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hi, my name is Phoebe Spanier. I live at 44 Jefferson Avenue, and I'm just adding my voice to thanking you for considering the ban on leaf blowers over the summer. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, we're going to close the public comment period. We're going to come back, discuss this when we do our discussion items. And then you have an opportunity to talk to us at the end and tell us whether you like what we did or didn't, or said or didn't say. We're going to move to the Board of Health meeting for the month of May.
Pursuant to Section 5, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975, this is to state for the record that adequate notice of this meeting has been provided to the public by posting and maintaining the annual notice of regular meetings on the bulletin board of the municipal building, by the mailing the annual notice of regular meetings for 2016 to the News Record and Star Ledger in December 2015, and by filing said notice in the office of the Township Clerk.
Ms. Adams?
Here.
Mr. Brownlee?
Here.
Mayor DeLuca?
Here.
Mr. Lembrick?
Here.
Mrs. Larrier?
Here.
Whereas Chapter 231 Public Laws of 1975, commonly known as the Open Public Meetings Act, requires that all meetings of public bodies be open to the public. Whereas Section 7 provides that the Board of Health has the discretion to permit, prohibit, or regulate the active participation of the public at any meeting. And whereas desire the Maplewood Board of Health to comply with the provisions of this act, same time to conduct its business in an orderly and expeditious manner, now therefore be resolved by the Maplewood Board of Health, the Township of Maplewood, does hereby prohibit, except as set forth in the formal agenda, active participation in deliberations of the Board of Health by the public, except as otherwise prescribed by law, does limit the public to the observations of the actions and discussion of the Board of Health at all its regular and special meetings.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Adams?
Yes.
Mr. Brownlee?
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca?
Yes.
Mr. Lembrick?
Yes.
Mrs. Larrier?
Yes. Thank you, and welcome to the May Board of Health meeting. We will start with the approval of the minutes, from which I will abstain. We did just receive them. I don't know if I was able to peruse them. I don't know if anyone else.
I'll move them.
Thank you.
Second.
Bill?
Yes.
Aye.
She went
Aye.
away.
Thank you, Mr. Rowe.
Used.
I abstain, by the way.
Yes, I'm sorry I wasn't able to complete a full report. I was away on vacation last week and just returned to work today, so I was playing catch-up most of the day and wasn't able to complete the report as I normally do, and I'll get it to you as soon as I can. One of the requests that I had to report on tonight was to try to put in kind of one document in one place, the steps the town is taking to prepare for the potential Zika virus epidemic, which is happening in the more tropical countries. We actually have taken a lot of planning steps already, but I realize I haven't put it all in one document, and I prepared that for you tonight. I just want to mention that in Essex County, the Essex County Mosquito Control is the only licensed and responsible agent who can actually spray insecticides for adults and larvicides to control mosquitoes. And that's the basic plan that's throughout New Jersey. It's a county mosquitoes control commissions or how we control mosquitoes for the most part. If a resident wants to complain about mosquitoes, they should contact me at the health department, either by telephone or email, and they should also contact the Essex County Mosquito Control. The mosquito control prefers that people call them directly rather than have me call them. And just in case anyone is ready to write down their number, the number for the Essex County Mosquito Control is 973-239-3366, extension 2480. You usually get an answering machine, but my experience has been that they do respond to all the calls because I followed up on it. So they have a very good track record of following up on calls. On March 30th of this year, the Essex County Executive, the Administrator, the Public Works Director, the County Mosquito Control Director, and the Office of County and some local offices of emergency management met with local health departments to discuss plans for Zika control in the county. And I was really pleased to go to that meeting because the county executive was there, and it shows that the county took this risk to health to people very seriously. So that I know that it makes me confident that if more resources are needed from the county to spray mosquitoes, that they will become available when and if needed. This Friday, we'll be having our regular department head meeting, and we've already been talking about mosquito control at some of the meetings. And what I'm going to be talking to the department heads about this week is that all the township departments can have a role in mosquito control. I'm thinking primarily, though, of the public works, police, fire, of course, health department, and even recreation, because during any given day, the town workers are in all parts of the town seeing all sorts of things. And if they are alert for stagnant water sources, say it's just a bucket they find lying behind a house, they can just knock it over and that eliminates that source. Or they can contact me and I will follow up. We can also declare if somebody has a very bad problem and they're not taking steps to eliminate, we can declare an imminent public health emergency and take legal steps to correct the problem. And we can do that within a probably within 48 hours if it's a recalcitrant person who just doesn't want to do what they're supposed to do. So we can check for small sources such as buckets, bird baths, that sort of thing, which can be easily corrected. Larger areas such as backyard swimming pools, which sometimes get abandoned, or backyard decorative ponds that are turned off for some reason that can breed mosquitoes. There's a thing called a mosquito dunk you can just throw in there that will kill the larvae and prevent them from growing into adults. So we'll be able to do that also. Removal of tires would be very important. And The town already has a tire recycling program. Some tires can just be put in the garage so that they don't get wet, or if it's a larger pile, it can be covered with a tarp so that water doesn't get in the tires. Tires are a favorite breeding ground for mosquitoes. The health department staff, we have an electronic disease reporting system from the state health department. So if there are any cases reported in our town, we'll know it very quickly. And one of the parts of Zika control is if you say you travel to, say, Puerto Rico and you became infected, you would be strongly advised, you wouldn't be quarantined, but you would be strongly advised to avoid being bitten by mosquitoes for the next 7 to 10 days. So we would notify those people, we would advise them to use mosquito control, have screens, stay inside as much as possible, and try not to be in a situation where you could potentially spread it to a mosquito and then to another person. The route of transmission of this virus is person to mosquito to person. There's no wild animals involved, such as we had with West Nile virus. If we do hear of a mosquito-borne transmission spreading up the coast, well, it'll probably first happen in the southern states, but it could happen up here. Then we would step up our control procedures considerably. I think we would possibly even go door to door, putting signs on people's doors, advising them of, like coat hanger type things of the danger. Because this is a very dangerous disease, because we've all read about mothers and children, and so what could be more dangerous than that to the public? So we are prepared. We have been making plans. We haven't been ignoring the situation, and we're prepared to step up using our full resources as possible. There's still a lot of unknowns with Zika. Will there be a vaccine? Will there become a quick test to whether a person has it or mosquitoes have it? Right now we have tests for West Nile, which can be done in a few days, but I'm not so sure we have that for Zika virus. And so that would be another important scientific step. And of course, of treatments, and then what would be the best insecticides to use. That's something that the mosquito control people constantly use when they test. They use different mosquito killing poisons, is a good word to put it. So they want to use the ones that are most effective and the most safe. The ones they currently use are very safe. It's a permethrin type chemical. You may not even see them come around spraying if they spray. They would do area spraying if there's too many mosquitoes in an area, or if we find a case. They've done this in the case of West Nile. Well, they'll spray blocks around the house where the person lives. And you don't even know they were there, and the poisonous residue of the poison is gone by the time you wake up in the morning. There's no hazard to people or animals. So I just wanted to briefly report that. I know it was going on, but I wanted to make that information public.
Thank you. One question, that the number for the mosquito, is that that's on the health department website or page?
We have
And on the
information
website?
now, but what I will do is put this information on the website, and if any of you have anything you'd like to add to it, please do, because I may have missed something when I was
I would put a
drafting this.
briefer synopsis, not this.
A more shorter version.
Yeah.
Okay.
Some brief bullets and the phone number.
That was pretty much what I was going to ask about, communicating it to the public very succinctly through Facebook and website and all that.
All right. And Mr. Rowe, would you have any problem with this memo being distributed publicly upon request and also to local media outlets?
No, I think it already is public information because
Oh,
I
no,
gave it
I
to
just
you.
mean, the memo that we were handed today.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, I believe that already is public information.
okay,
So it can be distributed, yes.
great, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Might send that memo out by email so that you don't have to, wanted to share it electronically, if you could send it to the Township Committee.
Oh, send it, yes, okay, yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry, I just finished this late in the day.
Oh, no, it's okay.
And I guess secondly, I just want to report that I also am in favor of stronger regulations against leaf blowers. I was on the committee, was about 10, 15 years ago. And, we thought we had come to a good compromise with the lawn maintenance companies. And it was really like an exercise in democracy. We gave, it's a little, but what happened, but in reality, what happened was, by and large, the leaf companies just ignored it. And it was catch us if you can. And I know, I'll just speak from my own experience, myself and John Singleton from building. At the time, we spent hours and hours and days trying to enforce the ordinance. It was very time consuming to enforce it. And, not only catching up with the lawn companies, and it's not as easy to write a summons as you think sometimes. It's not, we don't have, unless we knew who the company was, we had to, do a little detective work to find out the name and address of the owner of the company. And sometimes they didn't want to be found. And often the homeowners weren't cooperative either. So I'm in favor of certainly not using leaf blowers during the summer months. And, and I think if they are allowed during the spring and the fall, the length of time that they should be permitted should be maybe no more than a month. I can understand with a vast quantity of leaves, they may want to use a leaf blower to blow it, but they don't need to be causing the noise that they cause around town. It really is a detriment to health for for many of the reasons that were listed tonight by the residents.
Thank you. Any other questions for Mr. Rowe? At this point in time, we open the Board of Health meeting to public comment. Anyone want to address the Board of Health? Seeing no one, we can adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
Ms. Adams?
Yes.
Mr. Brownlee?
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca?
Yes.
Mr. Lembrick?
Yes.
Mrs. Larrier?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, we're going to go back to our regular agenda. Before we move on, I see that we have our Essex County surrogate, Theodore Stevens, here. He made arrangements to come and speak to us this evening and said he'd be dropping by. So we're going to take a break and hear from the surrogate Stevens.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, Mayor, members of council, members of the public. My name is Theodore Stevens. I'm the Essex County surrogate, and thank you for receiving me this evening. It's been my practice since becoming surrogate to come to each municipality at least once a year and to make the public, in an effort to make the public more aware of what the surrogate does. As I like to say, I won't say it again if I'm repeating myself, but one of my predecessors indicated to me, they said that, Judge, you got the best job in Essex County because nobody knows what you do. And I think the Star Ledger probably typified that a couple of years ago, maybe last year when they had an article on positions not known, freeholders, for instance, surrogates. It's not self-explanatory in terms of what we do. In a nutshell, the court, it's a court. I'm a judge. I'm the only elected judge in the state of New Jersey, and the court I preside over is a limited jurisdiction estates court. Wills, non-will estates, trusts, they all come to the surrogate's court first. In routine matters, we're able to handle the case and get people assigned, the personal representative assigned very quickly, and it's a real benefit to the public. As you can imagine, if you ever had an estate to do yourself, it's already a time of anguish, so the more simple it can be, the better it would be for the family. In situations where it's complicated and not as routine, then we serve as we have to refer that matter, I should say, to the Superior Court where it's handled there. We also serve as the deputy clerk to the Superior Court for adoptions. I also handle minors trust funds in the amount of about $36 million, which I hold. And also we serve as the deputy clerk for guardianship matters. And just a quick word, because I don't want to hold up too much, take up too much of your time, but guardianships, as you know, are growing. With the aging of America, baby boomers getting older, and the baby boomer parents who are still around, that the guardianship applications have dramatically increased. A couple of years ago, Chief Justice Rabner just took notice of that, and it became clear to him that the courts weren't really keeping a handle on how the guardians were exercising their duties. So with the help of the Supreme Court, what was created was a guardianship monitoring program. Essentially, that's a volunteer program. And so volunteers come down to the surrogate's court whenever they can, on whatever time. It's very flexible in terms of time constraints. We make files available to them, and they review those files to determine whether or not the reporting has been done. There's got to be periodic reporting that's required, at least on an annual basis. That information is input into a Superior Court computer system and for further action by the court. It's been a very worthwhile program. The volunteers have been extremely generous with their time, but we're always looking for more volunteers. So I'm making that available to the council, to your friends, your family, your constituents, anyone who might have time and would want to volunteer. I certainly will refer you to the Superior Court Volunteer Coordinator. There's a small training program, and computer literacy is mandatory since it all gets input into a computer system. Other than that, it's whatever your time will allow. So I'm happy to make that offer available to the residents of Maplewood. Lastly, we tried to make some innovations to the court as in the years that I've been there. This is my 5th year as surrogate, and in the first year, what we wanted to make our website more robust, because as we all know, you're not in business if you don't have a website. So it has been better, a lot of information, a lot of frequently asked questions. In fact, the forms for individuals who would want to can do business, especially with regard to estates, can be downloaded and printed from the website, completed in advance, and that's an advantage, I think, to help people before coming into the court. We also extended the hours of the surrogate court for those that can't get there before 4:30. So on the 2nd and 4th Wednesday of every month, we're there until 6:30 on an appointment basis. And a lot of benefits. Obviously, individuals don't have to take time off of work. Attorneys can sometimes go through their regular day and then add that on at the end. And the main benefit that's, I'm told, has been very beneficial, is the only time you get free parking in the city of Newark. And you just have to jockey for spaces with the county college students. But other than that, plenty of space, and it's free. And you get a time certain, you're seen and you're in and you're out. So that's been a benefit. The last one that I'm very excited about, you may have seen in a press release that was jointly issued with the county executive. Last Friday, we had our grand opening of our first satellite office. So that as of tomorrow, when we're open for our first day, you'll be able to have estates handled and other work that the Surrogates Court does handled at the Turtleback Zoo Complex. So we're opening up an office there in the lower level of the park and ride facility. There are county offices there. So we're going to be able to do full functions there. The IT has been worked out, so it'll go directly to our server. Docket numbers will be issued. And so I think that that's going to offer another tangible benefit for the residents that may find it difficult getting to the city of Newark. Free parking there too, which is also a benefit. So since we've been there, we tried to make some innovations. I think we've been successful in doing that, and we're going to continue to try and be of assistance to the residents. And I thank you for your time. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
Yes.
I would just like to say that as a person who was a guardian at one point in time for an elderly relative, that thank you for the extended hours and the satellite office, because I can't tell you how often I went screaming through the streets in my car trying to get there in time before the office closed. So that's great. Thank you.
Well, that's exactly what we're hoping to assist with. Any individuals involved with estates or guardianships are really doing such a yeoman's effort that if we can make it a little easier to do that. So I'm glad that you think that'll be beneficial. Thank you.
You mentioned you weren't in business unless you had a website. For the benefit of the public, can you say what your website address is?
Certainly, thank you. You asked that question just as I wrote it. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. It's www.essexsurrogate.com, www.essexsurrogate.com. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming out. I know you come out every year. We really appreciate it.
Mayor, it's my pleasure. Always a pleasure to see you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you. Here we have a resolution, 10316.
Mr. Mayor, we're on item number 9, Resolution 103-16. A resolution to read the Maplewood Village Alliance SID Year 2016 budget by title.
We get a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I move the adoption of this resolution.
Second. That's me, right? Yes.
Yeah, I'm like,
Yes.
Okay.
Ms. Adams? Mr. Brownlee?
Yes.
Mrs. Larrier?
Yes.
Mr. Lembrick?
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca?
Yes, thank you. Okay, we're going to have a hearing now. This date was published according to law. Notification was given to all the property owners as required by law. These are the property owners in Maplewood Village. Is there anyone who would like to speak on the proposed budget for the Maplewood Village Alliance Special Improvement District for 2016? Seeing no one, Ms. Adams, can we get a motion to approve the 2016 budget for the Village Alliance?
Mayor, I move the adoption of this resolution. Right?
Yes.
Okay. Is that all I have to say?
Yes.
Okay.
Second. Please call the roll.
Ms. Adams?
Yes.
Brownlee?
Yes.
Mrs. Larrier?
Yes.
Mr. Lembrick?
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca?
Yes, thank you. We're going to do the next resolution.
Mr. Mayor, item number 10, Resolution 104-16, a resolution to read the Springfield Avenue Partnership SID Year 2016 budget by title.
We had a motion, Ms. Adams, to read the resolution by title.
Mr. Chairman, I move the adoption of this resolution.
Yes, that's it. Yep.
Sorry, I'm having a coughing problem.
Okay.
Second.
Fine. Please call the roll. Thank you.
Ms. Adams?
Yes.
Mr. Brownlee?
Yes.
Mrs. Larrier?
Yes.
Mr. Lembrick?
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca?
Yes. This hearing is for the Springfield Avenue Partnership Special Improvement District for 2016. Is there anyone who would like to speak on this budget? This budget was published according to law, and there was a notification given to the property owners on Springfield Avenue. Seeing no one, can we get a motion to approve the resolution of the budget?
Mr. Chairman, I move the adoption of this resolution.
Second. Please call the roll.
Ms. Adams?
Yes.
Mr. Brownlee?
Yes.
Mrs. Larrier?
Yes.
Mr. Lembrick?
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca?
Yes, thank you. We have an ordinance on final.
Yes, Mayor. Item 11, ordinance on final passage, ordinance number 2810-16. An ordinance to amend Chapter 204 of the Code of the Township of Maplewood entitled Transfer of Property. This ordinance will require that properties owned by corporations, limited liability companies, or partnerships supply additional information when making an application for a certificate of continued use.
This ordinance has been published, copies posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building, and copies made available to the general public in accordance with the laws. Is there anyone who would like to speak on this ordinance? Seeing no one, I will move this ordinance be adopted as a whole and the clerk be directed to publish the same as a passed ordinance in the Maplewood South Orange News Record according to law.
Second.
Please call the roll. I'm sorry, any
Adams.
discussion? Please call the roll.
Ms. Adams?
Yes.
Mr. Brownlee?
Yes.
Mrs. Larrier?
Yes.
Mr. Lembrick?
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca?
Yes, thank you. We have another ordinance on final.
Mr. Mayor, item number 12, ordinance on final passage. Ordinance number 2812-16. Ordinance authorizing a special emergency appropriation in the amount of $411,000 to fund certain extraordinary expenses incurred by a reassessment of all properties within the township in compliance with a mandate of the Essex County Board of Taxation in and by the Township of Maplewood in the County of Essex, New Jersey.
This ordinance has been published, copies posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building, and copies made available to the general public in accordance with the law. Is there anyone who would like to speak on this ordinance, which authorizes the emergency appropriation and the bonding for the reassessment? Seeing no one, will close the hearing, and I'll move this ordinance be adopted as a whole, and the clerk be directed to publish the same as a passed ordinance in the Maplewood South Orange News Record according to law.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Ms. Adams?
Yes.
Mr. Brownlee?
Yes.
Mrs. Larrier?
Yes.
Mr. Lembrick?
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca?
Yes, thank you. And then we have a resolution, a companion resolution.
Item 10, resolution number 102-16, resolution of the Township of Maplewood in the County of Essex, New Jersey, authorizing the issuance of $411,000 special emergency notes to fund certain extraordinary expenses incurred by a reassessment of all properties within the township in compliance with a mandate of the Essex County Board of Taxation.
I move the adoption of this resolution.
Second.
Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Ms. Adams?
Yes.
Mr. Brownlee?
Yes.
Mrs. Larrier?
Yes.
Mr. Lembrick?
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca?
Yes, thank you. Item number 14.
Mr. Mayor, introduction of new ordinance, ordinance number 2811-16 is an ordinance to amend Chapter 187 of the Code of the Township of Maplewood entitled Outdoor Cafes. This ordinance will further define the where owner's permission is required to secure a license, and B, require the licensee to indemnify the township for any damage sustained as a result of the outdoor cafe.
Larry, can we get a motion?
Yes, Mayor, I move the passage of this ordinance on first reading, its publication according to law in the Maplewood South Orange News Record, and a hearing to be held on May 17th.
Second.
Any discussion?
Just Mr. Desiderio, if you could just clarify the ownership of the section that I'm reading in minuscule on my phone.
Hear the last part.
The part of the ordinance that refers to the ownership of the sidewalk area or the space where an outdoor cafe might go and what the requirements are for that. And you could just quickly explain what the difference is now as opposed to the previous ordinance.
Well, the difference is that the prior ordinance required the ownership of the consent of the owner of the premises in which the applicant was a tenant. This now requires the notification and consent of the person actually owning the property.
Okay,
that,
so
that
if
may,
it's,
may not be different, it may be the same, but it may also be different. So that's what that is. And the second one was an indemnification provision of the township for the outdoor cafe.
so for clarification, if the township owns, say, the sidewalk in front of a property and the property owner does not own that, the property owner does not have to sign off on any
Right, the township. would have
outdoor,
to
the
do that.
township would have to
Exactly.
give permission.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? Been moved and seconded. Please call the roll.
Ms. Adams?
Yes.
Mr. Brownlee?
Yes.
Mrs. Larrier?
Yes.
Mr. Lembrick?
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca?
Yes, thank you. We have another introduction of a new ordinance. Item number 15.
I'm getting there.
Do you want to?
Well, let me ask you the procedure, because I'm thinking we ought to vote this down, or do you want to, should we amend this?
Because it's on the back end anyway, the date, right?
Right.
Yeah, it might make more sense to do that. Yeah, the discussion is that I frankly, I looked at my notes, and I'm not sure how I got November 30th, but it's in there. And the mayor called me and said, we really should have been December 31. We should have only been changing the front end of this and not the back end.
Yeah, just so we're clear, the existing ordinance says that you can put them out there from April 1st to December 31st. And we wanted to change April 1st to April 21st. I'm sorry, March 21st. But what happened was, in our conversation, we must have said something about November 30th, and he picked that up too.
Right.
So we've never discussed moving it off of December 31st. So we have to, would you suggest we amend this?
Yeah, I would suggest that we not do anything with it, that you table it at this point, and that I'll change it, because we're going to have to reintroduce it either way.
So why don't we just vote it down?
So under the present ordinance, they're already allowed, so why don't we just put it off till the next meeting, and we'll introduce it, and I'll change it.
Well, it's not relevant till next March anyway, right?
Exactly.
No, I understand that. I'm just, go ahead. No, I was wondering what happens to 2813 then?
For agenda purposes, let somebody introduce it, and then let's vote it down.
Right, okay,
then
that's
it's clear.
clear.
Then
I
it's
think we have to clear it off of the
Yes.
list here.
Well, would there be any, and I realize it doesn't materially affect things until next March, but just from the sake of if it just gets voted down, then people are going to say, well, wait a minute, I thought you were considering, how come it's just voted down now? There's not like an accompanying explanation, versus if we table it, then, then it's like, oh, there must have been something else.
Well, we
I guess that's the only.
we could table it, but then the next meeting, we have to vote it down and vote a different one.
Okay, so there's no way to.
Yeah, we can amend this.
It's a substantive change, the effect of which is you're not going to have a final. If you amend it now, which you can certainly do,
yes,
which is probably the most practical thing.
All right, let's do that.
That's what
You'll amend it now. It'll be republished, but it
Yes.
won't come back on until final until June, the first June meeting.
Yeah, I guess I didn't want to necessarily vote it down,
So
because
let's-
then people are like, well, why'd you vote it down? And,
Let's do
versus amending
this.
it.
Someone will introduce it.
Somebody needs to introduce it as written here, because this is what was put out here, and then we need to do an amendment after it's introduced.
Therefore,
Could you introduce it, Mrs.
I
Lariat?
move the passage of this ordinance on its first reading, its publication according to law in the Maplewood South Orange News Record, and a hearing to be held, today,
On May 17th.
May 17th.
on May 17th.
Right.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, and would you like to propose an amendment
I
to
would
this?
like to propose an amendment that says March 21st to December 31st, as opposed to November 30th, because we don't want to back up that date.
Okay, is there a second to that amendment?
Second.
Okay. We need discussion and vote on the amendment. Any discussion on the amendment?
I just have a question about this. And I don't know if this is the right place or it has to be brought up again, but since this has got to go back for fixing the dates, is there anything in this ordinance, and I don't have it in front of me, so I apologize if I should know the answer to this already, about the condition of the recreation equipment that is on the grass median between the curb and sidewalk? And is it required through code or any kind of property maintenance?
There is not presently.
And what would it
And I
take?
don't know what those standards would be.
Yeah, well, yeah, because I happen to see something that, with a basketball hoop with a backboard that was like broken and a hole in it, and so that, to me, is an issue, and I don't know.
Well, I think the code enforcement would be able to make a judgment if something was dangerous
Or just,
or a hazard.
or even just
Yeah.
not maintained. I mean,
Because technically it's sports equipment, but so it could technically be a soccer net that is rusted or something like that as well.
this is basically half the backboard, like.
No, but
busted.
I'm saying the ordinance is for temporary sports equipment.
Well, that, I think we should report that to the code, because it's possible that could be an uneven weight distribution and could present a hazard.
Yeah, Or the ball goes right through and hits somebody walking behind it.
But I think that's what we ought to do. If we see things we ought to just report it as a potential hazard and let the code take a look at it. Okay, so we have on the floor an amendment to this ordinance 2813.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? We're going to vote on the amendment first.
Ms. Adams?
Yes.
Mr. Brownlee?
Yes.
Mrs. Larrier?
Yes.
Mr. Lembrick?
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca?
Yes. Then we're going to vote on the motion as amended. That was made and seconded earlier.
Yes, this is now a motion to introduce. the
Introduce
motion
it
as amended.
with the date as December 31st.
Yes.
Ms. Adams?
Yes.
Mr. Brownlee?
Roll call.
Yes.
Mrs. Larrier?
Yes.
Mr. Lembrick?
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca?
Yes, thank you. So this will be coming up again for us as amended on the 17th with the new date.
17th, and then for final on whatever the June date is, 7th, I think.
Why, no, it would come up on the 17th, no? Oh, it has to be published.
It has to be republished.
So it has to be published.
So it's going to be republished. It'll come before you again on the 17th for introduction, and then it'll be on for final on June.
Why would we just introduced it? Why would we have to do
June
that?
7th, it'll be on for final.
Yeah. On the, it'll be June 7th,
I think it's 7th.
That's Wednesday, June 8th, Mayor.
June 8th,
June 8th?
Wednesday,
Due to the primary.
Tuesday, the 7th is election day.
Gotcha.
June 8th. Okay, thank you. Okay, discussion items. We have 4. Service agreement. Mr. Manning?
Yes, thank you. It's once again time to enter into an agreement with the 4th of July Committee, a service agreement where we spell out requirements on both sides in terms of insurance, et cetera, for particular events that are happening on July 4th, and including, up to and including the fireworks display. So, excuse me. Is there a resolution?
Yes.
Yes, all right, and that resolution is on,
Wait, excuse me.
No, it's not.
no, it's not, so that we can.
We do it by motion.
Okay.
We're going to do it by motion. I think Mr. Desiderio said that he can memorialize it after. So we've received
Yes,
a draft here, service agreement. And this really has to do with just the insurance, correct?
yes.
Anyone have any questions about it?
No, I don't think so.
Get a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second? Been moved and seconded. Please call the roll.
Ms. Adams?
Yes.
Mr. Brownlee?
Yes.
Mrs. Larrier?
Yes.
Mr. Lembrick?
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca?
Yes, thank you. Open Space Trust Fund money for the inoculation of ash trees. Ms. Adams?
Yes, Mayor, the emerald ash borer is a disease that is, well, not really a disease, it's more of an insect infestation of ash trees that is sort of moving around the country, and it's spread itself into Somerset County in New Jersey. There is a danger of it affecting what amounts to 33 ash trees that are in Memorial Park in Maplewood. There are ash trees, also street trees, but this current request from the Open Space Trust Fund Committee is for inoculation of the 33 trees in Memorial Park. There's interest also in expanding that if Township Committee, if Public Works recommends that. But for this year, there was 3 residents who have extensive tree expertise, Todd Lamb, Gary Nelson, and David Nile, who have recommended to the Open Space Trust Fund Committee, which, by the way, last week at our meeting has agreed wholeheartedly with them to inoculate all the mature ash trees in Memorial Park this year and to use Open Space Trust Fund money to do so. I'd like the consent of this committee to allow them. It's approximately, it's an every other year inoculation. So the cost proposed by Save a Tree and Mr. Bell, Head of the Public Works Department, is still getting other estimates. But right now, asking for between $5,000 and $10,000 of open space trust fund money to inoculate these. And the reason for the urgency here is that there's 2 to 3 week period in May where this inoculation needs to be done, and at which time it's most effective. There's a small window in September where it could be done, but it's not as effective in combating this, this invasive disease that will kill all of these very large trees in Maplewood Memorial Park. So I'm asking for, I guess, a motion or obviously discussion, but.
Yeah. Well, first, Mr. Manning, is there money? There's money available?
Yes.
Okay. So why don't you make a motion to that effect?
So I do move that we allow open space trust fund monies under the oversight of our Director of Public Works to hire and pay for a contractor to inoculate these trees in Maplewood Memorial Park.
Can we say not exceeding $10,000?
Sure. Not exceeding 10,000.
Is there a second to that?
Second.
Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Ms. Adams?
Yes.
Mr. Brownlee?
Yes.
Mrs. Larrier?
Yes.
Mr. Lambert?
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca?
Yes. Thank you for bringing it up and moving it so we can get this addressed. Next issue is the leaf blowers. Anybody care about this one?
What was that?
Ms. Adams, you put this on?
Yes, Mayor. Obviously, we've heard from many residents, and I thank you wholeheartedly for coming out to speak about this. As you know, we're forming a small subcommittee, Mr. Lembrick and I, for evaluating the entire ordinance with regard to leaf blowers and noise and all that, and a sort of a partner ordinance that is not in existence right now regarding pesticide use. But since that will probably take several months because there are a lot of issues that need to be delved into and need to be carefully studied so that we're careful in what we propose. At the early April meeting, there was a suggestion of not allowing leaf blowers during June, July, and August going forward. And I was thinking about it and wondering why we should wait for this improvement in the quality of life of Maplewood residents until what would effectually be next year. So I'm interested in helping to make the quality of life better in the summer months, at the very least, with this small step to keep our neighborhoods safe, dust-free, and quiet, by asking our landscape companies to stop using the gas-powered leaf blowers during June, July, and August. And the landscapers typically visit their customers weekly, mowing their lawns and edging their lawns. In the summer months, the only reason they use the blowers is to clear all the cut grass out of the lawn and off the walkways and driveways. And I might add, generally do that into the street, which is by our ordinance prohibited until September 1st. So currently they're in violation of our existing ordinance by blowing grass into the street, which I've addressed with a couple personally when I've witnessed it. The grass is better to be, once it's cut, and since they're cutting it every week, you're not having extensive length of grass and grass being left on lawns that would kill it. So effectively, if they're cutting it every week and they're leaving the grass clippings on the lawn where it's better for nutrients to get back into the lawn anyway, there's no need for them to blow it out of the out of the lawn. If that resident would be interested in having all their grass clippings removed, then that can be accomplished by a rake but I doubt that would even be an issue personally. But so the leaf blower is basically being used in the summer months to blow grass and dirt off of the sidewalks and driveways and into the street in violation of our ordinance. So this could just as easily and just as quickly be done with push brooms by the landscape companies instead of a blower. The blower probably actually takes longer, I would think, because they get every single piece of grass off of the sidewalk. And as we've heard from many residents today, the noise is just obnoxious, deafening, and with dust and pesticides and allergens being blown into the air. So there's so many reasons that I think this is something that we could do for our residents this year, even if it's just on a pilot basis, in lieu of whatever the subcommittee, which will undoubtedly meet numerous times and tweak and pull out every part of the ordinance to make sure it's being handled in as complete a way as possible. So I ask my fellow TC committee members here to consider a pilot program and see how this works for the summer of 2016. I think we owe it to our residents to try this small step before and not making them wait for a committee and a whole ordinance that would take effect months from now and even in over a year. So that's why I put it on for discussion. I think it's a huge quality of life issue, and I welcome your thoughts.
Any comments?
I mean, I'd like to echo everything Deputy Mayor Adams just said, as well as to concur with her thanks of the residents who've come out tonight and to prior meetings to express their very enthusiastic support that we take steps to cut back on leaf blowers and the noise pollution and air pollution that they cause. And, you know, this is an issue that, as Deputy Mayor Adams says, you know, along with the non-organic cosmetic pesticides is something that the subcommittee is going to be looking into to draft a more comprehensive ordinance or amendment to the ordinance. But I think in the meantime, doing this pilot program from June to August, obviously with, you know, will give the opportunity for the lawn companies to adjust and to react before we do anything permanent, and we can see how this goes. But we'll also give some relief during the summer months to the residents who like to enjoy their homes all day, every day of the week, and not just for those days and hours when they're not being driven indoors by deafening noise and the smell of gasoline. So I agree that we should do this, and I will vote for it if we bring it up for a vote.
I have a couple of questions. Are we saying just gas-powered on electric blowers?
Yeah, I would think so. I think those are the most, or I don't know. I haven't really given that.
Well, that was
thorough
what
thought.
most of the conversation was from the public.
Well,
was
gas,
about gas.
definitely, because those are so much more offensive. But typically, landscape companies don't use electric because they're not as strong and not as loud and not as fast. So, but I wouldn't be opposed to no blowers because there's nothing to blow that can't be swept.
And are we talking about just landscaping companies or private homeowners?
I would like it to be no leaf blowers all summer, but I'm open to it just being the commercial leaf blowers. I don't know how you feel, Greg. I mean,
Yeah, again, I think, you know, the main culprits here that people are concerned about are the gas leaf blowers and also the the lawn service companies that are coming in, particularly with multiple leaf blowers on a single lawn or certainly in a given neighborhood at a time. I think that's the biggest concern. But if we want to go further and say all leaf blowers, both gas and electric, and also all leaf blowers, where they be commercial or personal, I'd vote for any of that in terms of a pilot program. But, you know, if others are more comfortable making it more limited, I'll take what I can get.
Yeah, I would not be in favor of everybody because I think I would not be in favor of everyone.
No.
I would only want to put it to the landscapers because I think the landscapers come in and they do put 3, 4 gas-powered blowers going at the same time. I mean, I have neighbors that go out on their own, and one has an electric, a couple have a gas, and, you know, they're paying, you know, it's noisy too, but I would, for a pilot project, I would like to focus on the commercials. We've identified, I think it was in the testimony, Ms. Conrad, you know, talked about COM, and others talked about, you know, this being an issue of noise from many blowers running at the same time. So I would be willing to vote, and I do think you know, Mr. Rowe talked about the sort of the democracy thing. I remember the landscapers being here and having a spokesperson and working out a deal with the 65 decibels, but clearly they have not lived up to their end of the bargain. So I would be willing to do commercial landscapers, no gas powered. You know, I guess there's a practical issue here. I assume, Mr. Desiderio, we can do this by a resolution.
Yeah,
I think which would be better because then we could deal with it at the next meeting, May 17th.
Well, you can deal with it, you really can deal with it over the course of however long your committee is going to meet, because you're going to pass I would think you'd be introducing a resolution to ban them from June 1st of 2016 through August 31st of 2016, right, resolution-wise, and then you would have whatever time you need to ultimately make your final determination.
Yeah, and I think we shouldn't vote on anything tonight other than to say it'll be on the agenda for next time, because I think we should give an opportunity for people to know we're going to talk about this before we vote on it.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I think, you know, voting on it May 17 also gives us, you know, about 2 weeks before June 1, so it will take effect in time without having to be immediate. I guess my question for Mr. Desiderio is, you know, is there a way within the resolution and within the law for us to distinguish between commercial leaf blowers or leaf blowers, you know, by commercial entities from personal leaf blowers used by homeowners? It seems like there should be, but I just want to confirm that that's possible.
What the present ordinance addresses is lawn maintenance companies. So I would think you would keep it in the same manner as that.
Oh, lawn maintenance service? did you
Lawn
say?
maintenance, lawn maintenance companies.
Okay, great. Well, now we have the prohibitions: use of a leaf blower with a decibel rating of greater than 65 by commercial lawn maintenance shall be prohibited between the dates. We would just add, I would assume, use of lawn blowers by a commercial lawn maintenance business between the, you know, June 1st and August 31st is prohibited. Now, as far as the offense, first offense is 100, second offense is 200, I would suggest, and then subsequent offense not to exceed 500, I would just leave that as the same.
Yeah, I don't want to do any major, I'd rather the committee like work out all the specifics, so.
Mrs. Larrier.
Yeah, I can certainly agree with this pilot program, just like I agree with our next discussion item. But as we did with our last, with the next discussion item, I would want to proactively reach out to some of the lawn maintenance companies, just to proactively invite them to come and plead their case.
We can invite the ones who've registered.
Yeah, we have a list of
And we have the ones that
40-some that register. We should invite them. And then there are some lawn maintenance business, repair businesses that actually were very helpful in the last go-around. P&P Lawnmowers. Charlie up there, he was helpful. We get the word out to him too.
Right.
And we can let them know if they want to say something. We have May 17th.
Thank you.
And also, we may find that there are some residents that don't agree with this too.
Sure.
That they want their lawns and driveways and sidewalks, pristine, and feel that the only way they're going to get a lawn service in. So this will give everyone an opportunity to come on the 17th. I think what I'm sorry, Mr. Brown, you didn't get a chance to talk.
Well, I just had the same question and same thought that you had. And I just wanted, I think I would feel more comfortable if we carved out an exemption for residents to continue to be able to use their leaf blowers. Certainly commercial, just an outright whatever, I'm in favor of that. But I think I'd be willing to carve out an exemption, I think, for residents to, I mean, they typically would have like an electric, and it's just not the same as a commercial
Yeah, and they're not
entity coming
doing
in
it.
with,
Well, they're already.
They're not doing it all the time.
Yeah, exactly. So that's
It's
why.
silent,
So
so-
I don't have anything additional.
Yeah.
I think it's appropriate
So
language.
just so we're clear, the silence about a resident and lawn blower, leaf blower means that they have no regulation, correct? Okay. So let's just work on what we've started or dealing with commercials. It sounds like we're all in agreement. Commercials, gas powered,
Commercial,
I would say, I would have.
I would just say commercial.
just commercial, okay.
Period.
Okay, commercial, no lawn blowers, or leaf blowers rather.
Because and part of my reason for that is, again, the enforcement aspect, no,
Correct.
oh, is that an electric one? Now you got to go out and be
Yeah.
the
Go
leaf
find the
blower
wire,
police
right.
and see, does it have a gas tank in it?
And from June 1st to August 31st.
So you want me to put a resolution
The
on
resolution on the agenda for introduction.
May 17th?
Yes, a separate, not on the consent. It'll be a separate, right after the final ordinances.
Gotcha.
And any ordinance we're doing, we'll do that resolution as a standalone resolution.
And we can vote on that resolution that night without having to do a second reading?
Correct.
Okay.
So it can.
And what we'll do is we'll deal with it just like an ordinance. We'll have the hearing right before that resolution. So we'll deal with it as if it was the second ordinance. We'll ask anyone who wants to speak on that. They can speak, and this way it'll be fresh in our minds, and we can go back and forth, and then we can take a vote.
Sounds good to me.
All right?
Yes.
Mayor, I want to thank my fellow township committee members for your support of this. And thank you again for you guys, because I think it's long overdue, in my view. So thank you.
Okay, next up is the tobacco product.
Yes.
Mrs. Larry, you put this on. We've been talking about this.
Yes, we have been talking about
Thank
this,
you.
and I suppose I did delay it and put it on for discussion one more time. I do have a question regarding nicotine delivery methods. This ordinance, the way we wrote it, the way it's written, specifically carves out things such as patches and nicotine chewing gum. My concern is that if an 18-year-old can't get e-cigarettes or regular cigarettes, do we want them able to purchase gum? My understanding is that the level that you have to be, the age that you have to be to purchase those items, if there is an age limit, would be 18. And I'm wondering if we have a stomach to include these items as well.
You say 18 or 19?
18.
So
it's already lower than the state age to purchase tobacco products. I think that was the
Right.
question I was getting
The
to.
best I could find in my own research was that the age limit is 18.
So if I go into a store and ask, is nicotine gum on the shelf, or do you have to ask for it? Do you know?
I have no idea.
I do not know.
I don't.
Anybody know how to
I do
nicotine
not.
gum is
I mean, we did some research on the FD, I mean, these are FDA-approved products.
Yeah.
Okay, and Ms. Larrier and I had some discussion about that. Yeah, I have some hesitation. We have one issue with regard to the state government, now we're talking about the federal government, and I am.
Yeah.
I guess I'm
not-
counseling caution.
Yeah, I'm not, I think it complicates it. I don't think there's a way to enforce it as easily. I don't think we know enough about patches and gum. And this is language from our ordinance.
This language comes from existing ordinances.
From Princeton or
from Princeton, yes, from the Princeton ordinance, and from others. And, you know, and the other part of this that I would say is that there is a medicinal use for those other products.
Right.
Okay, as opposed for tobacco. So you are going to prevent
Right.
people who maybe need it for medicinal purposes from being able to purchase it, i.e. they're trying to quit smoking.
Would we be able to, if there is indeed an age limit, would we be able to require signage?
But again, no, this is FDA. See, first off, I don't even know if I don't know where it's displayed. I honestly don't know. I mean, I don't know if you have to go to the pharmacist and ask for it. I just don't know where it is.
Yeah, I've never even
Yeah.
thought.
I don't know. I think we're in an area
Well,
that,
it's not
Know
a
anything about
deal breaker,
nicotine?
but I did want to at least
Okay.
bring it up.
Yeah.
My theory is nothing ventured, nothing gained.
okay.
I also wanted to ask what would happen with the e-cigarette licensing? We kind of touched on that, but we didn't include that. I was wondering if we were planning on doing that.
Well, it seems to me that's a whole question over and above the 21, right? We talked about
Yes.
that.
We
Okay.
talked about that.
So we're not talking about putting it in, so let's see if we can put this to bed to
Okay.
make sure, is this good enough to be introduced at the
This
next
is
meeting?
good enough to be introduced at the next meeting.
Okay, so this will come up on May 17th, and then final will be on 6/8. Okay? And then you're asking about the registration piece. Now, we got some information from some of the advocates here about registration. I think, Mr. Lembrick, you had asked that too. And there was some discussion about $1,000 registration fee or something like that.
Well, yeah, what I had seen is that in some other communities, the towns had basically, rather than banning it, they made the license fee so onerously high as to effectively ban it, because very few, if any, stores, even if they could legally sell it, were likely to spend $1,000 or more to get a license. And what I said is that the license or registration that we require, the fee that we should put on that should be consistent with the license and fees that we have for other products. And if there wasn't a good analogous precedent, that we should do it, roughly based on the administrative cost. And that we should not do a fee that would be punitively high. That was my general point.
And do we know if you sell cigarettes, do you have to be licensed?
Sell cigarettes?
I mean, there may be a tax reason to be licensed as a tax.
I'd suggest we refer it to Mr. Rowe for some.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. How about we ask Mr. Rowe to investigate this a little bit more?
We can.
Okay. There's also a whole nother area, and it goes to what we were talking about earlier with outdoor cafes. I believe our outdoor cafes are silent on the issue of smoking. I don't think we have anything, certainly in a restaurant,
Right.
you can't smoke anymore. In a bar, you can't smoke anymore by state law. But since outdoor cafes are creatures of local government, there's nothing, I believe, in our ordinance that talks about it. And there was an ordinance in the paper that I picked out from Palisades Park that explicitly prohibits smoking and also e-cigarettes. And so I think that's another thing that we ought to ask Mr. Rowe to come back to us with. I mean, my guess is that most of the restaurant people themselves will not want smoking outside, but
You
I
don't
want to
know
be clear, because they're, if we're not letting people smoke in the parks, we shouldn't be letting them smoke when they're sitting on the sidewalk for people to come by and all that, so.
I agree.
So let's assign to Mr. Rowe the question about smoking for outdoor cafes, and also the question about registering for e-cigarettes.
Speaking of parks, yesterday I was at the State House, And the Senate Health Committee actually, because of towns like ours who have passed ordinances prohibiting smoking in the parks, they actually have released a bill that will do the same in county, state parks.
Mayor, you don't intend to tie the smoking at outdoor cafes with the ordinance we just discussed?
No.
Amending? Okay. So that can move forward?
Yes, oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no. You know, perfect will be the enemy of good all the time.
Yeah.
So, yes, no.
Right.
I think we have to move, and, you know, we can always do ordinances. That's what they hire us to do. So we can,
Wouldn't that be just really an amendment of something we already have?
Yeah, but we still have to go through an ordinance process. Yeah. So, we'll move forward with this ordinance, and I just want to thank Mr. McGehee for coming up and speaking. I actually did find also, not only, this is something I had not known, this was an editorial in the Ledger on Sunday. They talk about e-cigarettes are actually sold in flavors and marketed to middle schoolers.
Yeah, that
With formaldehyde.
yeah.
Mr. Brownlee?
No, I just, when Ms. Larry was speaking about the patches and the gum, you know, one of the, you know, when they talk about e-cigarettes, and I didn't see it in the journal, I saw it somewhere else, and it was the same type thing, or the flavors, you know, fruity Fruit Loops and, you know, really flavors like that, which are clearly intended to market towards children. They're not putting it in Fruit Loops flavors to try to convince someone to quit smoking, you know, someone who's like your, you know, I think they gave the example of your father-in-law or something like that, trying to kick a 2-pack a day, 20-year habit, you know, so they're doing it in Fruity Pebbles. I mean, clearly they're trying to market it towards children and get them hooked. So, but I don't know that they would market a patch or a gum to try to middle, you know, it's somehow qualitatively different for me. So the medical, in terms of getting someone to quit, I think it's a little more clear in terms of those things, as Mr. Desiderio said.
Just for the record, just so we're making sure everyone understands that there are positions on both sides. We did read the letter from the New Jersey Food Council into the record. I'm not going to read them, but I just wanted to note that we received a letter from Quick Check in opposition to us moving forward with a local ordinance. And we received a letter from the New Jersey Gasoline Convenience Store Automobile Association disagreeing with our efforts to move forward with a local ordinance. They were actually kind of this was a little bit interesting because they said what they've been asking communities to do is not pursue local ordinances, but to focus on resolutions calling on the state legislature to pass a statewide ban. The letter didn't mention whether the Gasoline Convenience Store Automobile Association has also called on the state to pass a ban, but that is what they're suggesting we do in the alternate. But
At least they didn't suggest we wait for Congress to act.
No,
and then there it would die in committee,
Right.
So effectively
All right.
tabling it
On
forever.
the governor's desk.
So we're set. We know what we're going to do there, and everybody's all right with that?
Yes.
Okay. Someone stole my agenda.
You just got so
I know, it's right here.
I consent.
Consent.
Consent agenda. Do I get a motion?
Second.
Consent?
Ms. Adams?
Yes.
Mr. Brownlee?
Yes.
Mrs. Larrier?
Yes.
Mr. Lembrick?
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca?
Yes, thank you very much. We are now at our second public comment period. Is there anyone who would like to address the Township Committee?
Frank McGehee, Carlton Court. Quick question regarding the February 16th meeting when we made authorization with South Orange for RFP for the study for possible consolidation, merging and sharing, shared services, inclusive of fire, EMS, and first aid services. And then on March 15th, one of the elected official reports stated that we had 2 consultants that were interested in doing the analysis. of consolidation of shared services. One group was from Massachusetts, I believe, a Matrix Consulting for $44,500. The other from New York, I believe, costing $47,000. Just want to know what was an update on that and where you stood with the consulting agents.
We have interviews with the two consultants on May 26th, and if all goes well with reference checks and all that, hopefully we'll be able to give a recommendation to the Township Committee at our June 8th meeting.
Great, thank you.
And I don't know the timing for the South Orange trustees, but I would assume it would be at their June meeting. So if we can wrap this up by the end of May, then we'll both be in a position to approve a contract with one of the two consultants, assuming one of the two is suitable.
That's great, excellent. And one last statement, I just wanted to recognize the Safety Committee for putting up the stop signs on Ridgewood Road. They are deterrents, and it's a good start. The pedestrian stop signs, yeah, that's great. We saw them up last week, and people are acknowledging them, so that's a good start for our pedestrian safety. So thank you.
Thank you.
Great, thanks.
Amy O'Mara, 17 Salter Place. I just wanted to make 3 points in follow-up to the leaf blower conversation. One, I just wanted to reiterate and make sure that it's top of mind that we're not only talking about the noise pollution, but the particulate matter that's blown into the air. And so whether it's a gas-powered or an electric leaf blower, that is an issue. And I think in many ways a more important issue in terms of public health. So just to make sure that isn't lost in the discussion about what gets banned during the pilot project. My second 2 points are related to communications. And I just want us, first of all, to be really careful about how we communicate this, both when we're talking to the public and to the lawn care companies. I think the word ban is super polarizing. Today, when I was promoting the meeting tonight, I chose to say limit the use during certain times, really stress that it's not an all-out ban, which I think really puts people on the defensive, that you're taking away their rights to sort of manage their lawns in the way that they want to see fit. And there are more constructive ways to talk about what we want to do and why we want to do it. So I would just make the recommendation that we use more positive framing language, perhaps talking about a limit on misuse of the lawn technology that's available, or some other language that I would be happy to talk more about. And then the second point related to communications is I would hate to see a lost opportunity to educate our citizens about more sustainable lawn care through the process of enacting this pilot project. And I think I can say on behalf of the Green Team that we'd be super happy to work with you on language that could be used in a mailer or an email about how this fits in with the re-yard project and leaving grass clippings on the lawn being a major component of more sustainable, more economical lawn care. And if we do those things together, I think we'll have a more effective impact in the community, more positive experience of the pilot project. Thanks.
Great.
Mr. Carrero is going to be the person that puts something out. So if you could hook up with him, all right, and maybe talk about that. We're going to have to have words like prohibit in the resolution. It's just got to be in there, Yeah,
for sure. I mean, I think the word ban is really the
Yeah,
one that,
yeah. But what's in the ordinance is the word prohibit. So at least that's maybe a little softer than ban, but we have to be very clear about when, what we can allow them to do.
Because if we say limit the use of, they're like, well, I'll just have it on for 5 minutes.
Yeah, but I do think the tying it to the re-yard piece is very important. So if that can be a dual message.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And then we can have all those, we can channel people to the Green Team website where people can sign up for the re-yard stuff. But, the other thing is there are going to be people that are going to, however we frame it, there are going to be people who are going to object to this because it's, their choice. But we have to make the best judgment we can, and hopefully we'll hear from people on the 17th, pro and con. Anyone else?
Actually, it's...
You have to say who you are again.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Tracy Woods from Burnett Avenue. And I just, The rules that are on the books have been largely ignored, as we know, and I'm wondering if there can be provisions into this pilot that talk about alternative ways of reporting. That a lot of times these things happen on weekends when the offices aren't open, and maybe there could be some thinking about how these things could be reported in a way that could be more actionable.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. If any, honestly, no landscaper has come to us and said, we couldn't report because you were closed on Saturday. They just don't do it. So, but if they have other ways, maybe there's a way we could do it over the internet and other ways of doing
I'm
it.
thinking, like, if a person, a resident is, their next door neighbor or someone
Right.
is
Yeah.
using.
Oh,
leaf blowers
reporting
in the
that
day.
way, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I
Oh,
didn't
okay.
know what you were
No, but
talking
would it
about.
be
You're talking about
acceptable
the
for them
register.
to
I'm thinking of register. Okay.
film with their cell phone
Yeah,
what's going on?
I was
Like,
gonna
how can
ask-
we enforce it? Because that's the problem with the current
Right.
rules, is that it's not
Right.
actionable, the enforcement.
Right.
Because it's just too difficult. Is it possible that, it could be filmed with a cell phone and that could be submitted as sufficient? Could we set that up as a way of enforcing?
Can we get a weigh-in from our
As long
legal
as the
guy?
person filming is willing to go to court.
Yeah, I think,
As long as they're willing to go to court, the answer is yes, and they can file their own complaint.
But would that be sufficient to get a fine in place?
well, if the judge
If the
found them,
judge
yeah.
sustains it,
I think,
sure.
I think the better thing is if someone has a film or, someone films some or shoots somebody on their camera, is to send it to our
Code enforcement.
code enforcement people.
And I don't represent any individuals, but I would be very cautious filming people.
Yeah,
I
I
just
think
don't-
you have to
I
be.
think you really need to
Picture's
speak to your
good enough.
attorney before you do that, okay?
Is it, you
I
don't
do
need
think-
to
Well, I'm just thinking of, I'm trying to think of ways that it could be.
enforce, right?
Report it to the health
I mean,
officer.
could there be a form that you could issue a complaint?
Well, there
So, like,
is. There is it's on,
It's
is
on
it
the
code red
website.
or, I'm sorry, request for service? There is a form there now. There must be some issues with that, right? We can check it. We can check and make sure our
But can
request for
fines be-
service,
Yeah, but can fines be issued based on?
No.
No. Okay,
no.
so it's still a difficulty.
There has to be a
Something
court, there has to be a
consider.
judge determining whether the person's, has to, if the person
they-
appeals it, if the person
if they appeal
fights
it,
it.
right.
The person fights it.
But I think what she's asking is, can we offer a site, can they be cited for using it if they're reported during off hours? So,
The answer is no.
no.
The person who has to see them do it. So if the resident wants to file a complaint, the resident can go to the municipal court and can file a complaint against the person doing it. But our people have to witness it in order to be the ones who are the complainants. And then the complainant has to go to court and testify.
But we don't want you to put yourself in harm's way. If there's something on the weekend, if you take a picture on your phone, send it to code enforcement. We have authorized overtime in the past for our code enforcement people to go out there. So if you put in there, and we can make sure it's on our request for service, or you can just shoot an email to the code people. If you let them know that they're out there on Saturday, the company, and then if, we can schedule some people to do some investigations.
Yeah, because they're going to be out there on the following Saturday, no doubt, so.
Not gonna come out.
Anything else? Okay. We're going to go to, we have received reports from our chief financial officer. We did get that. Thank you, Mr. Manning. And we just received the construction code official. Administrator reports. Mr. Manning?
Just a few items. Next, on May the 17th will be the last late Tuesday we have until September. So if anybody needs to do any late business with the township, we are open until 7 o'clock to take payments, to get permits, et cetera. Two professional service agreements I wanted to bring you up to date on for our interim engineering services, which we originally put $8,060 in that. We've had to raise that to $12,867.50 because we only did an estimate of what it was going to cost, and it cost more. So just wanted you to be aware of that.
And just so the record's clear, could we just pass a motion to authorize the additional expenditure?
We get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Ms. Adams?
Yes.
Mr. Brownlee?
Yes.
Mrs. Larrier?
Yes.
Mr. Lembrecht?
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca?
Yes, thank you.
And we also have a law firm that we have the professional service agreement with to do an investigation on our part regarding a personnel matter in the amount of $5,000, which the most recent bill was, and I think it's the last bill, is $6,672. So if you could approve the additional money.
Again by motion, Mayor.
So moved.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Ms. Adams?
Yes.
Mr. Brownlee?
Yes.
Mrs. Larrier?
Yes.
Mr. Lembrecht?
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca?
Yes, thank you.
And we have we've gone out, as you asked, and put an ad out for a new public assistance director. We got a real robust response, and we narrowed them down to 4. We interviewed 4 today, and we've chosen Beverly Ashmore of East Orange, who will be starting shortly. And it's 1 month till the farmer's market opens, so, that's what I wanted people to know. And lastly, I'd like to recommend that Ms. Kathleen Leventhal be appointed as the volunteer coordinator for the Maplewood Loves Wellness campaign.
Is there a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Yes.
Ms. Adams? Mr. Brownlee?
Yes.
Mrs. Larrier?
Enthusiastically, yes.
Mr. Lembrecht?
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca?
Yes. And if she's watching, congratulations.
And that is the end of my report, unless there are any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Manning?
No.
Mr. Desiderio?
Yeah, I just have 2 things, Mayor. You, on the consent agenda, you passed a resolution rejecting bids for the wading pool. This is work that was going to try to be completed prior to the opening of the pool. There were some issues with regard to the availability of products and the notification of the various vendors of that fact, the result of which was the necessity to recommend to you when you're passing a resolution to reject all those bids. I just want Mr. Carrera to report to you what the alternative plan is so that everybody is aware of it.
Thank you. Good evening. So regarding the baby pool renovations, our pool foreman, along with the help of the engineer, will be making sure that the coping stones are secured, the bottom of the pool will be painted, and it'll be available for opening season for Memorial Day.
And then they'll go out for towards the end of the summer. They'll go out for proposals or bids for the work to be done prior to the winter, so it'll be ready to go in a corrected version for next year. Okay.
Great.
And the only other thing I want to report, Mayor, is that some weeks ago you had a hearing on an ABC license to a place-to-place transfer. It was a pocket license to go on to Springfield Avenue, which the ABC rejected. There was an appeal of that. This is now scheduled before the it goes to the Alcoholic Beverage Commissioner, who then determined it to be a contested matter and has referred it to an administrative law judge, and there will be a hearing on that. Effectively, well, it's a mini trial. The administrative law judge then makes recommendations back to the commissioner of the ABC, who can either accept those recommendations or reject them. So we had a conference with the judge this morning. We're planning for that trial, and I'll give you more information as we get closer to it, but I just want to give you a heads up as to what the situation is.
Is there any history on, like, overturning a local ABC?
There is not. There is not. And this is the first one that's actually come out of Maplewood. We had one involving a fine, I believe, Ms. Fritzen, that was subsequently reduced, but that was done directly by the commissioner's office. But no, there is not a body of law that's really that really gives us much guidance. So I think the issue will be the reasonableness of the decision made by the Township Committee, acting as the local ABC, and we will present evidence before the judge to that effect. So,
and will the township need to present any witnesses at this hearing?
We're in the process of making that determination.
Okay, thank you.
We're also getting the transcript of the hearing. We're having it transcribed, so we'll have all of that available. But we haven't finally decided how we're going to present our case, and when we do, I'll offer that to you in a different form.
Thank you.
Ms. Fritzen?
Just a couple of things, Mayor. If you noticed today, actually, the mural lights were corrected on, to your left, the left side.
There were wires down there. You didn't notice them?
Wires were down, and
For about
actually,
6 or
the
8
lights
months.
were not shining on the murals. Today, it was fixed.
Wow.
Okay, just a couple of,
Apparently, the view from up there is different from there.
couple of dates for the primary election. We're going to be open straight through till 9 p.m. for voter registration on Tuesday, May 17th. That's all day, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. That's the last day deadline for registration for the primary. And deadline for mail-in ballot for the primary as well is May 31st. Those are just important dates. And as you all know, the primary is June 7th, Tuesday, June 7th, and that is the reason why the Township Committee is meeting on Wednesday, June 8th.
Ms. Fritzen, is the plan to, starting with the June 21st meeting, to decamp to our summer home across town?
Since you brought it up, that is our plan. It's the second meeting in June, and Mayor, I see he's happy about that.
Yes.
If that's your plan, unless you want to stay here.
Nope, that's our plan.
All right, it's our plan. Second meeting in June.
Unless it's like it is
And we'll make
today.
our changeover right after the Wednesday, June 8th meeting with all of our Comcast and Verizon, and we'll be ready to go.
Great, thank you.
Anything else, Ms. Fritzen?
No, just that the Comcast issue obviously was corrected from our last meeting.
Let's hope they're watching us.
I have no idea what you just said.
You didn't get
The
into that.
Comcast issue from last meeting.
The meeting wasn't on.
Just something I noticed on our agenda, we in the adjournment section, we sent to meet again May 17th at 7:30 PM. That's actually when we do the session here, but we start in there at 7. And what would you recommend, Mr. Desiderio? Should we,
I think it's best to put it, because technically speaking,
it's an open meeting until we close it.
so it should say 7.
Okay, we can do that.
Is there anything else?
No.
Nothing? Township Committee,
No report, sir.
Brownlee?
No report.
Ms. Adams?
No report.
Mr. Lambert?
Breaking the string. A few things. The first is, as discussed at a prior meeting, I'm going to bring forward a resolution for the Maplewood Township Committee to hopefully show our support for the bill regarding education funding that has been introduced by our Assembly members McKeon and J.C. That's A3420. I've been working with their staff on a draft resolution, and they're starting to move that forward. Much of the focus of the legislature in Trenton the past few weeks, my understanding, has been on Atlantic City and the sort of emergency situation there, but they are hoping that school funding is something that can be addressed during this session, and I think being one of the first communities, if not the first community, to pass a resolution supporting that bill is something that we should do, especially given the extent to which the current inequity in funding adversely impacts our school district and our taxes. So I'll be bringing that, distributing that prior to the next meeting and asking each of my colleagues to support that resolution at the May 17 meeting. Ms. Collins from the county was not here tonight, but I do want to, for any residents watching, let them know about a very special event coming up at the zoo, and that is the African Adventure Exhibit is scheduled to open a week from today, May 10th. And the Turtleback Zoo is an extraordinary resource right here, just a few minutes from Maplewood, that Essex County residents have access to. In addition to the 4 giraffes, Lincoln, Milo, Hadari, and Kamau, the African Adventure exhibit is going to feature African antelope, whistling ducks, ostriches, and tortoises. I'm looking forward to taking my daughter there on opening day. Finally, the last on my report is I am holding my monthly office hour tomorrow night at the main branch of the Maplewood Public Library on Baker Street, and that will be starting at 7 p.m., and I'll be there till 8 p.m. So if you have anything you'd like to discuss, please come see me there. And if you can't make it, then reach out to me by email or phone, and I'll be happy to set up an appointment at another time. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That's my report.
Okay, great. I have 8 items. I'm not sure any of them are as worthy as the giraffe. I will try. I will try to get through them. My office hours are next Tuesday at 7 to 8 p.m. So that's Tuesday the 10th, and they'll be right here at Town Hall. On Thursday at lunch, I'll be in Atlantic City with Bob Mittermeier, our construction official, who will be getting the 2016 Construction Official of the Year, Building Inspector of the Year award. So I'll be down there to show support for him. We have scheduled 2 reassessment public meetings. The first, I've just gotten confirmation on this, is going to be May 24th at 7:30 p.m. right here in this room. We will need TV. And we'll also need screens and all that to do this. Will be a public meeting. This is going to deal with residential properties, and we're going to need Ask the TC internet, so that email rather, so that folks can ask questions via email. And it's going to be on Tuesday, May 24th,
I'll be out
What
of
time,
town.
Mayor?
7:30 p.m.
Mayor, I'll be out of town.
Okay.
Mayor, when you said you're not, do we need to advertise this meeting?
No, it's not. It's not a.
Okay,
It's
not a
the
township committee meeting?
No.
Okay.
It's a public meeting. It'll be, the presentation will be from the reassessment firm. The next morning at 25th, Wednesday the 25th at 8:30 a.m. is going to be a reassessment meeting that's targeted to commercial property owners. And again, the reassessment firm, that will not be televised. We don't need television then.
Will that be here, Mayor?
That'll also be here. Okay. On Thursday, May 19th, we are going to have our session Doing Business with the Township of Maplewood. That'll be at 9 a.m. here. We invite anyone who has a business, home-based business, to come. We'll have our department heads give presentations on the things that they buy. We'll do presentations, and then we're going to set it up so that folks can actually speak to different department heads and ask questions about what they might want to purchase and see if we can get more local buying by the town. I just wanted to report that this past Sunday, I participated in the Interfaith Holocaust Remembrance Service, read a proclamation. It was a very moving service. Deputy Mayor Adams was also there, and I think it was something that we have participated in over the years and will continue to do so. I want to announce that there's going to be an intergenerational arts program at the Bergdorf. Maplewood Senior Share is co-sponsoring this with the Office of Cultural Affairs. It'll be on May 14th from 12 to 4:30. There'll be art projects. They'll be made from recyclable materials. And there's a $5 per person charge or $15 per family, and all the funds will be donated to Arts Unbound. And so if you want to participate, you can contact the Office of Cultural Affairs and find out more about that. That'll be at the Bergdorf on the 14th of May from 12 to 4:30. This year, the 4th of July is going to change things around a little bit, the committee. All the activities this year will be in Memorial Park. So there'll be no more use of Town Hall. There'll be no more use of the Woodland. They will have a large activity tent, which will be in the south field They'll have food vendors there. They'll also have amusement games. We're trying to get, bang the bell, bang the hammer and hit the bell, cops versus firefighters. I believe there'll be a car show in there. So there's the whole activities will be, all the activities will be there. The whole event will be there. In the evening, there will be a paid fireworks viewing area on the north side also. So the entire park will now be a paid viewing area. In the past, you did not have to pay if you went to the south field. You have to pay this year.
Are they fencing off the whole
They're
park?
fencing off the whole park. And they'll continue to have the circus this year. So it's going to be something new. They will be getting the information out, but hopefully we will be helping them as much as possible to try to get that information out there.
The reason for doing that?
Well, the cost keeps going up, and there's just a lot of people who are getting to see the fireworks, and they're hoping to recoup some additional dollars. The reason to have it all there in the north field is to just have it more coordinated and more of an event and have it less dispersed.
So when will they start charging people to get into the park? Like in the
afternoon.
In the afternoon?
Yep. Because the circus will be there. So they'll start charging around noontime, I think, after the parade. After the parade and races.
Like a very major change.
It is a major change, yes.
So the tent, the activity tent, which
You won't have to do, if you want to do the ice cream eating contest and all that, you don't have to pay.
that will be in the morning
It'll be
then?
before that, I think. It'll be right after that, whatever that time, whatever that break is. But they'll have a karaoke machine in there, and they'll have all kinds of other stuff in there. But I
And no
think
softball.
there will be no softball. No fields left.
And the art
Art will still be there. It'll be up on the backstop, so. We're just trying some new things this year. There'll be the races, still be the bike parade in the morning.
I do have a little bit of a concern about that, not that it will change anything, but it then forces everyone who comes and doesn't pay into the residential area.
Right.
And I can see that being difficult. And I'm wondering,
Yeah, we had a meeting.
Mr.
Yep.
Mino weighed in on that?
Yep, we had a meeting, we had a planning meeting last week with the two chiefs, the recreation department the health department was there, public works, so we've worked it all out. The police are aware of it, and we're going to be having details. They are also going to have a lot more volunteers around so that people are aware. And they're going to do as much pre-event publicity as possible to let people know that it will be a paid viewing area this time. They also will not be having tickets. Everything will now be a wristband.
Oh,
And then where,
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I guess I'm just wondering where everyone will go.
Don't know. See the fireworks?
The ones who don't pay.
They'll be on the grass here, and they'll be in the street.
My other concern is just the whole day. I mean, I can see if they need to expand it and close off the whole park for just the viewing of the fireworks, trying to recoup some of that money. But it seems kind of difficult for me to absorb or, be in favor of closing off our entire public park on 4th of July to anybody who wants to go in unless they pay.
Well, they'll still be able to play basketball, they'll still be able to play tennis, they'll still be able to go to the playground. They'll use those activities, but the circus will take most of the south, so you really can't have any other activities there. The circus will be on the south field rather. So there are going to be some parts of the park where people aren't going to be able to go.
Well, I guess we'll see.
You know, they're trying to think differently and trying to make the experience in the North Park a more rewarding experience with different things there, different activities, and so we'll see how it works.
One more question. How much are they charging? So if I want to go down to the park at like 2 in the afternoon on the 4th of July, how much do I have to pay to get in?
I think it's $10,
$10 a person?
like they do now. But there are parts of the park where you can go.
Yeah, well,
Nancy, you'll be able to swing on the swings.
yeah, I can go swing or play basketball because I'm 5'1". At
Okay,
least
and-
I used to be 5'1". I might actually be.
And the last item is we had a terrific baseball parade, and Mrs. Larry was there, and Mr. Lembrecht was there. I know Village President Sheena Collum watches this, so we just want to let her know that we're thinking about her as she missed the catcher twice. But she'll work on it.
I can work with her on her.
There you go.
And just, he may be too humble to mention it, but our mayor throwing from the mound threw a perfect strike right down the middle on the first try, so.
Yeah. And she doesn't understand that softball you pitch underhand, but that's what you have to do.
Was she better than her predecessor, who was?
Yeah, actually, she
pretty-
was. Yes, she was.
She was.
She was.
Okay, I mean, that was a very low
You know
bar.
what?
That was a low bar.
She
so-
had the atmosphere. She was
Okay.
it.
Okay.
She was
All
it.
right.
Yeah, the attitude was there.
Yes.
So.
The predecessor.
All right.
The accuracy, not so much.
And the
Yeah,
dress.
right. It was about the same. Okay, anything else? If not, we'll get a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I will see you on the 17th.